Hello, everybody. Drasco here from uplevelmind.com, where my main mission is to help heart-centered entrepreneurs who know all the business strategies realize their next business revenue milestone by mastering what's between their ears. And for today's episode, we have a real talk segment where I bring in a heart-centered entrepreneur who isn't seeing the consistent, stable growth in their business. And then live on the call, I get to help them get out of their own way on one inner challenge that they're currently experiencing towards their next business upgrade. And today, we have Chris Plourde, who is a coach, businessman, father, and husband. He works with top athletes and well-known companies, organizations, celebrities, moms and dads, and even in military special ops. And as a former master trainer and presenter, he created and presented content both nationally and internationally on the mental and physical aspect of training for peak performance in all areas of life. Additionally, as a former chief executive with men's teams and organizations, he has mentored many men to find their authentic self and create leadership qualities which they could bring to their families, communities, and businesses. So Chris, thank you very much for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you taking the time to do the deep dive with me.
So absolutely. I appreciate you coming on and agreeing to do this, because I know, as a coach, it's always more fun on this end than it is on the receiving end. So I always applaud people for coming on and doing this. So what I'd love to dive into deeper with you is, even like I just read that little bit of the intro, and it's so varied, and like you have so many different like skill sets and experiences, etc. So I'd love for you to just break down how is it that you got to do what you're doing and all those aspects.
All right. So I grew up in, like I was telling you earlier, I grew up in New England, Boston, south of Boston, kind of blue collarish, athletic town, very prideful town. Had in athletics my whole life, built myself up to be a businessman, so to speak. Got a business degree in college. Worked for a variety of companies: Walt Disney World, Xerox, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, thinking that was going to be the answer. Like, once I get a good job with one of these great, well-known companies, then all my life's problems will be handled. And so diving into those jobs, I just felt a lack of, unfulfillment, in a sense of, well, there's something more out here. While the underlying current, I was always working with people, helping them on their fitness and getting them to, asking them the right questions, putting them on programs, and realize, hey, I could do this for a living, but I don't want to be that guy in a gym, standing around, directing people hour to hour. So when I came out to Los Angeles 22 years ago, I realized that didn't have to be. That was just a narrative I was creating in my head. So after being with a variety of these companies, just throughout the years, I would always come back to this fitness industry. And I eventually had clients one-on-one, teach classes. I had a great clientele, in the heart of Los Angeles. I eventually worked for different companies, training trainers, being a presenter. So I certified thousands of instructors around the world, created content of what soon became self-development content: how to be your authentic self, the best leader, the best fitness professional you could. Slowly that moved into, now this content can work in all areas of your life. Had companies contact me, worked with their sales teams, presented at their meetings, worked with them one-on-one, just getting them to focus on what's important, not just in one area of how to generate more money, but how to be the best version of themselves and get out of their own way. So that could look like putting up boundaries, taking a vacation, not being so burnt out. And I realized I was getting a lot of success from that. The numbers were actually showing that. And I started taking more on and one-on-one clients and really enjoying it. So I would go do retreats and speaking gigs, and eventually got involved with men's teams and organizations and creating weekends and then teaching leadership development that I created. And then the last part of it was becoming the CEO of that organization for the last couple of years. So there's a lot that I've covered, a lot of things I'd love to do. I can honestly say I am filled up working with with these clients and organizations. But, COVID, we really took a big hit over the past couple of years. And I've been doing my best to, get that momentum going. But what's really happened is it's like, yeah, here it comes. You always feel like it's going to start now. Here it comes. It's snowball effect, the tipping point. And, it's like 2 steps forward, a step back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And it just doesn't have that momentum. And I know I have so much out there that I can give. I just need a little bit of reflection, guidance on how to hone that in to really be effective. And in my life, I have a wife of 16 years, 2 kids, 15 and 9, and it's crunch time. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, that's quite the nutshell, ranging, almost 20 years as far as broad strokes of your life. So kudos and thank you for sharing that. So just so that I'm clear, it seems like right now the main challenge that you're having is around like focus, like where do I put my focus on? Is that accurate or no?
Yeah, I think, I love, I was able to go and do a big retreat in Cabo with 50 CEOs a couple months ago, and I would just come back so filled. I was in a room for the first time in 2 years. So I love speaking, but I love my one-on-one clients. I played with just making, development of men's modern masculinity, because I worked for 14 years with men's organizations. It's like, should I go more blogging, create online content? So there's so many like tools and so much like information that I have that it's like, I'm trying to narrow it down a little bit. And it seems very overwhelming at the moment. So.
Got it. Okay. So in that case, if you were to look at overwhelm as a focus on what's not getting done, would that resonate with you?
I don't know if it's not getting done. I'm doing my best to stay as active as I can all day, reaching out to clients and being on as many podcasts of trying to get my brand out there. But there are times when it gets slow, like that I'm like, I'm not doing enough. And that's my old limiting belief is if you slow down, then you're going to lose everything. And so there's time, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, that when I'm not busy, there's I don't want to say a full set of depression that comes in, but there's a point of, oh my God, what do I need to do? And then I go into this saboteur side of my brain, like, get your shit together. You got to start working harder. And I know that's not the energy to come from. I want it to come from more of the right, innovative, creative place where I need to go. So I struggle between that battle between both of those parts of me sometimes.
Got it. So this part of you that is saying, okay, so if I slow down, then I'm not doing enough. And if I'm busy, or if I'm not busy, then I get into this kind of slippery slope of state. So tell me more about that. Like, if you weren't busy, then fill in the blank.
Oh, if I'm not busy, then I'm not going. Oh, this is just it's a belief. It's an old belief system. If I'm not busy, then I'm going to not live up to my potential. I'm not going to pay the bills. We're going to lose our home. We're going to lose our car. My wife will leave me. My kids will hate me, and I'm going to be homeless. Like, if you want to go to, and then I'm going to die, right? So if you want to go down the whole therapy way of it, we can go down there. But I'm just speaking from that emotional state that sometimes I like to catch myself on and go, well, that's not true. But still, it still pops up every so often.
Got it. So basically, if I'm not busy working as hard as I can, then my life is going to be an absolute failure.
Right. And what I realized over COVID is that I was so busy before that I was up at 4 a.m. and I'd be out the door at 5:30, taking care of myself, taking care of 200-300 people I was in front of in the course of a week. Get to the end of the week and I was just like, oh my God, I'm doing too much. Like there's too many classes. I don't enjoy this part of my life anymore. And I was able to really scale that back to almost, a 9 or 10 on a speed level to a 2 or a 1, and then go, okay, now where's that middle ground that's going to be very effective for me?
Okay, so that's where you're at now. Like I'm finding what the middle ground is, but I'm not.
I'm trying to find the place right between too much and not enough.
Okay, got it. So you mentioned that this whole busyness thing was an old belief, but it pops up from time to time. So is it popping up now?
Not in the past couple of weeks. It's been a pretty steady couple of weeks.
Okay, so what's it look like when it does pop up?
I need to be doing more, and I'm trying to find out what that is, like how to systemize it a little bit more so that if I do have a cancellation or some downtime, then I can just jump right into it and rotate and switch.
Okay, so basically I need to be doing more. It pops up when I have this void in terms of time and tasks. That's accurate?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you define I need to be doing more? How do you select what more is?
Specifically, I mean, I know that voice is a hyperachiever from the judge. What I need to be doing is, okay, I need to connect with potential new clients, or put out what other companies could I work with? What are some HR people I can get in contact with? Maybe it's about creating a new workshop series that, I have that I should just start recording. Or maybe I should put it live and start promoting it live and then record that and go through this platform or go through that platform. So I'm constantly looking at what is that next thing that is going to help me. So for example, I had a speaking company that I was checking out to maybe engage with one of their courses to get, give me more speaking, allow me to have more speaking gigs, or, but there's like 6 things like that, that I could be embarking on.
Got it.
And
what do
it
you
gets
actually
overwhelming. If you would ask me what my vision would be in, 5 years, I see ourselves at our, beautiful home, our new home, somewhere with some land. My wife is doing her things. My kids are coming and going with their friends. So there's that balance in life. I have my office, my studio, that I have my private clients that I'm working with one-on-one virtually, sometimes in person. I have multiple speaking gigs and retreats and facilitation workshops booked a few times a month that are for the next year or two are all taken care of. I run some in-person workshops and retreats on the weekends in my studio at my home, or maybe close by. And I'm spending plenty of time with my kids and my family and my wife, and just really fulfilled. I can see coming back from a talk or a workshop or a retreat and just being like, there's a lot of people that really were impacted, and they got to see where they wanted to go in life. They got to put up the boundaries. They got to connect with themselves on a really deep level. And I got to witness that. I got to be a part of that. And that could come in a room, that could come one-on-one, that could come in so many different, so something they might read or listen to of mine. I just want to kind of be the conduit of what's out there, just being in service.
Got it. And for that vision, because it's like that vision, it sounds very similar to what you're doing right now, potentially minus the house or whatever, right? Because it's when I asked you, okay, so like what does more look like? You basically listed the exact same things. I'm reaching out for more speaking gigs. I'm trying to book more workshops. I'm trying to look for more clients. They kind of look the same. right?
Yeah,
Like
no,
my
we're
ultimate
in a great
vision.
house right now. Just not a whole lot of land here, but yeah, it's the same thing. It's not having I think it's just the not knowing what's next. You know, the working with somebody or putting out a proposal out and then not hearing back. And, you know, I know that's par for the course, but it still doesn't mean there's not, we have that abundance mindset, but it's not necessarily coming into play yet, so to speak, where it's just flowing. Like I know it could or should be.
Right. But why would it flow when all you keep asking for is for more stuff to put on your plate?
I don't know. Right, it's a
I
good
don't know
question.
either. That's why I'm wondering.
So let me hear you. So you're saying, why would it flow if I'm asking for more stuff to get put on my plate?
Correct. Like if you were to ask me from the outside looking in, as a stranger doesn't know you, to judge your results and your actions in conjunction with what you say you want. So it's like, what I hear you say you want is I want abundance, fulfillment, flow, and time with family. What I hear you saying that you do is all I keep doing is looking for ways to add more to my life. If I don't wake up at 5, I'll try to wake up at 4. I'll try to wake up as early as I can so I can reach everybody, talk to everybody, impact everybody, speak on more things, do more workshops, have more private clients, which is the exact same vision that I have for my future. Oh, but also add more family time and maybe more land. So to me, it sounds like you're actually getting exactly what you say you want, but there's a disconnect between your intended values, which is I want abundance and peace, and what I actually do.
Well, what you're right, and what I think it comes down to is when we talk about worrying about when's the next big check going to come in so that we're taken care of for next month or the month after. So it's been, you know, since we've been coming back, it hasn't been flowing in as regularly. We've been getting by, things have been getting paid, but there's not that sense of, oh, it's lined up for the next year or two, you know? So I think that's the energy that I live in sometimes is that old belief, that old scarcity belief, where, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because the intention behind the more is I want a sense of security to know what's coming in a little bit more longer term. So let me try and, you know, push my way through, grind my way through, work my way through to ensure that that security happens.
Yeah. Okay.
So in that case, I understand where it's coming from, but is it really working out the way that you want it to work?
I get glimpses of yes, it is. And it just happens on a whim. But for some reason, I kind of go back. I think it's that back to that emotional of, whoa, is it really the way it should be? You know, I mean, you know, for example, I've had like 3 retreats booked over the past couple months. And of course, because of COVID, they just get blocked or pushed or canceled or whatever. And it's like, but we really needed that, you know, and then something will come up. And I think it's just that constant worry of being head of household that is sticking me a little bit and bringing me back into, well, maybe I need to hone my niche in a little more, right? Because I hear that all the time. I have some coaching schools going, no, you don't need a niche. I have other people telling me, yeah, the finer your niche is, the more direct the person you're going to work with is, the quicker your business will grow.
So yeah, what I would say is like all of those could be true and none of those could be true. But I think the reason why I say that is what I'm prompting you to consider is more foundational than that.
Okay.
Right. the energy that you're coming into with everything, right? So when we started this conversation, it pretty much was brought on by the sentiment of, if I'm not busy, then I'm an absolute failure in life. Okay, like if I trace it down long enough, that's really what it comes down to. So that means the primary lens through which I'm going to view decision making and strategizing is essentially, how do I do more? Okay, you're proving that by what you intend to do. Now mix into all of that circumstantial pressures that took away some of the previous security that made that paradigm work. What you now get is, like, if we're talking about a recipe for the result that I'm getting, what you're getting is a recipe of desperation, scarcity, rooted in, I just have to work more at doing the same things that worked before, but I'm now doing them in conditions that are completely different than I have done before. And the whole time I'm trying to do this, I actually don't really have clarity on what it is that I actually want. So you end up getting all of these options to do, and you're very good at coming up with the strategies and the options, but all you're really getting is just more, but never really moving closer, because you haven't really taken the time to define closer, and all the decisions are made from this lens of, oh, I just got to do more. I got to make this work, right? So how does that land for you?
I kind of see it from, I guess where my mind's going is, okay, so what is that? Once I see what it is I need to jump into, could be just doing the same thing. Then I think that would land a little bit more. I mean,
So yeah, I would
yeah.
reflect back that you're kind of seeing the pattern, right? Where does my brain default to? Well, what do I need to do? I.e., what do I need to add to what I'm not already doing?
What action steps do I need to?
Correct. What I would actually prompt you to consider is what you want to give to your clients, right? Because you mentioned clarity. Sorry, you mentioned boundaries. And it was, I think that you said it was a sense of purpose or something along those lines. I can't remember your exact wording. I remember boundaries was one of them.
Right. Well, it's climbing it's finding their purpose. It's unlocking their gifts.
Correct.
Seeing what they've been through in their life and really owning their stories.
It was the authenticity piece. So I would turn that around, and instead of saying, I want to give this to my clients, say, I want to give this to myself.
Okay.
What is my authentic expression? I.e., what do I authentically want? And two, looking for more is really a place of no constraints, meaning no boundaries. So if I know what I want, I can set the boundaries for what I need to focus on, because focus is really just saying no to everything that doesn't align with what it is that I want. Right now, you want everything because you're hoping that something will make it work so that you can get out of the lack of security and scarcity. But that's not really working out for you that well right now.
Okay.
Right? So I would actually flip it around and do what you do for your clients for yourself.
Okay. So if I was to say, what is it in an authentic way? What is it I want? I mean, it comes down to fulfillment, happiness, and security.
Great. So fulfillment, happiness, and security, are they circumstances or choices?
Choices.
Okay. So are they going to be found in strategy and action steps, or are they going to be found in authentically choosing?
I want to say both. I'm choosing to be that, and if I can wish it, but if I'm not in motion in some way, then it won't. And I'm not saying as fast as I used to go, but working towards or ascending up that mountain, putting one foot in front of the other, then will it come to fruition, so to speak? Or are you just suggesting that I choose it emotionally and just let it come? Or where are you at?
So, okay, let me, I guess, clarify, because I fundamentally
Hmm.
agree with you. Like, yes, there is a component of choice and there's a component of
Hmm.
action. So we're
Right.
aligned on that piece, and I agree with you there. What I see from the outside looking in is, if you take the analogy of like the Google Maps, right, or whatever, any map software,
Hmm.
like you understand your starting point, but you're like, hey, like Maps, take me to fulfillment, abundance, and security. And it's kind of like, okay, and it gives you 10 different paths
Hmm.
because it's very nebulous and very vague, because you have to
Okay.
choose which one of these. So it gives you like 10 different destinations. And instead of doing the choice work to choose, well, what is the one that truly aligns with me, you're trying to tackle running all 10 paths at once.
Yeah. Well, sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes. Like, um, I'll give you an example. Like, working at one studio that might not align with me in the belief, but having 20 or 50 different amazing students that are that I really connect with, and I choose to stay with that connection of those students. Um, Wanting to give up some other, talks or classes that I'm teaching, but not really knowing that if I give up one, then that's where our insurance comes from, because we're not there yet. Do you see what I mean? So I'm trying to make these choices and not say I'm going to completely jump, because I have to calculate that risk a little bit, right? And I would urge my clients to do the same thing. Like, you want to change careers, but you have this debt or this money you need to keep, coming in for your security. Yes, I would like to say no to a few different things, but they're financially, um, keeping us where we need to be at the moment. Do you see what I'm saying?
100%. And that makes sense. Like, you don't want
Hmm.
to be neglectful of your obligations. 110%, especially when you have other
Hmm.
people relying on you.
Right.
I
Right.
think what this comes down to, though, is, does your security come from the opportunity in front of you or from you executing on the opportunity?
Just say that one more time. Does my
Does, does
security?
your security come from the opportunity in front of you or you executing on the opportunity?
Again, I think both. Right.
So
There's an
that's where I
opportunity in
would
front of me, but then I
disagree
need to
with you,
execute. Okay.
because it's you who executes on the opportunity that actually defines it as an opportunity. Otherwise, it would just be a thing. But as soon as you begin to execute on it, fulfill it well, that's where you get the security that you're looking for. And the reason
Mhm.
why I bring that up is, I think you're putting the cart before the horse. You're putting
Okay.
more onus and power to the externals as a measure of security, versus realizing the inherent power is, none of these things exist if you don't execute on them, i.e., you are the source of your security and nothing or nobody else.
Okay. I agree with the I am the source. Right. So give me an example from what you heard so far, putting the cart before the horse in my life, from what you've heard.
Right. So when I asked you with regards to the whole security bit, right, you were like, okay, yeah, it's kind of both, but like, I have obligations there, so I got
Mhm.
to make that work, etc. It wasn't like not seeing what is at stake. It was where your mind went to when I asked you the question. It prioritized the opportunity. It prioritized where could I go get money. It prioritized the thing. It prioritized the circumstance. It put you as second,
Okay.
right? Because if I had heard, you know what, like, I'm doing, I'm showing up at these studios to finish it because that's money like coming in, and I know I need that. But what I'm really focusing on is making X project work, because I know that once I get it to this level, that I can quit the thing that I don't want to do, and then I can go all into that. That is more of a, I am the one that creates my security. I have the self trust to go forward. So I'm going to keep my baseline okay so that, I have that security. Like, nobody needs to like starve here. Totally up for that. But it's
Right.
like I am the one that is creating the reality. Whereas when I hear you speak and the way you speak about it, it's like I am just here trying to figure out which thing I got to fit into so that I can get what I want.
Mm. Okay.
Does that make sense or resonate anyway?
Yeah. Let me try to repeat that. So you're saying I'm tricking myself into believing that I hear what you're saying on the second one. I am the one responsible for, but you're saying my context is actually saying I'm being victimized by it. Is that what I'm letting circumstances run me as opposed to me putting that out there? Is that what I heard?
Not necessarily victimize. I don't
Okay.
feel a victim
Right.
energy from you.
Yeah.
It's more of the lens through which you're viewing the opportunity, right? Like externally,
Okay.
it looks the same. Like I do X, Y, and Z. I complete all these things. I fulfill it. But in your
Right.
mind, just like you had the belief of like busy makes me successful, and you're like, well, kind of
Yeah.
not really. Here, it's like
Or
the things that pay me are my security.
for now, right?
And that's the part that I'm prompting you to potentially reconsider. The
Okay.
reason people pay you, the reason these opportunities pay you, the reason you have any of it is because of what you bring to the table. You are the source of that money. That is the security. Because if you didn't do that, none of that money would flow in.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with you on that. Yeah.
And I
Well
understand
aware
that
of
you
that.
intellectually
Yeah.
agree with me. I think what I'm prompting is to consider the embodiment of where your body goes when it thinks about those things. Because right now it's putting the thing above you. And I'm saying, consider what would happen is if you shifted it and said, no, I am the source of my security. So I'm going to make choices that are most aligned with ensuring that I get what I want. And that starts with actually asking what I want, not just chasing more, because more isn't the source of my security.
Right. Right. So looking past the financial aspect of it and just going, where is it that it's going to fulfill you the most, first and foremost?
Yeah, like there's a lot of interwoven layers, right? There is the clarity layer, like what do I authentically want without the filters and distortion of the bills I need to pay right now, right? There is the security perspectives and like the ownership of the power I do hold. And then there is the productivity approach and how do I actually go about closing the gap between where I'm at and what I want, and essentially the focus narratives and the focus perspectives there, right? So they're all interwoven, and I know it's kind of frustrating to not have a definitive answer, but the definitive answer can't be gotten because of that first part. I really lack the authentic clarity, so I'm just chasing everything, right?
What you're saying is I'm lacking the authentic clarity of what it is that I truly want, even though I explained that to you earlier. That's not speaking in my actions, is what you're saying, or is that not being heard in my actions, or?
So what I would say on the clarity piece is, from the outside looking in, I don't really buy it. And I'm not saying that you don't want those things. It's just, 70% of your ideal vision is like things you're already doing. So I'm like, if things that you're already doing isn't working out, but you're saying that's part of my ideal vision, there's a disconnect there. And whether it's a disconnect in interpretation or in communication, I'm open to that as well. But it's just there was something about that I didn't buy. Right.
Okay.
And then when I see
Fair
the
enough.
actions that are kind of spread across and are just focused on doing more, I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like if there's no clarity in the direction, then it also makes sense that I would optimize for just doing more, because that's where I find my sense of security from.
Okay.
So is that clarified
Right.
or not really?
I mean, yeah, and I appreciate, what you're feeling, your honesty on this whole thing. I'm just trying to connect to what I what I disclose to you is what my belief is right now. And I don't know what else to really state to make it more believable, and I don't want you to, it's not about you believing it. It's about me coming across and totally being open, by the way, to what you're saying and seeing what I don't see at this moment. Right. So I invite that in, like, yeah, if you're not feeling it, then maybe connect me with like a story or an example of something so that I can feel that a little bit more, if that's okay.
Sure. So what do you feel like is missing right now?
The authentic vision that you're not seeing.
Mm-hmm. So you feel like what's missing is my understanding of your authentic vision.
Possibly, but again, okay. I'm not. I know if I can't see what I can't see. You know what I mean? I'm really trying to put myself in that place of feeling and connect that energetic wire at this moment. That's all.
Okay, between what? Connect energetic wire between what and what?
Between what I'm doing and expressing to you.
Okay.
Like I hear what you're reflecting back, but I'm still not, and I'm really open to it. I'm just not feeling it yet. That's all.
Okay. So here's how I'm hearing your question, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so I can't make the connection between my actions and my vision and what is unclear about those two. So A, does that resonate with you or not?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm looking, so I'm pretending to be you now. So I'm looking for you, so talking to me. So I'm looking for, Drasko to give me clarity on where that connection isn't.
Right. Cool.
Okay. Can I actually give that to you?
I think you could potentially show me an example that might help me deeply relate to that.
So I think the best example I can give you is, from my perspective, you're kind of proving exactly what I said, which is you're asking an external to give you the sense of certainty that you right now lack. Right? Because you're asking, okay, here's my vision, here's my actions. What you reflected seems muddled and distorted. It's not really accurate. I kind of get it, but it doesn't fit right. What do you think? Give me an example of something that will reflect that. It's the exact same thing of putting the onus on the external for your sense of security. Because you're asking me to give you certainty about your vision, which I cannot.
No, I'm not looking for certainty at all. I'm looking for an idea of just what I don't know. Like I hear the words and you're not feeling this example. And I know you're asking me the question back so that I can say, well, I need to just drop into my heart or feel it in a different way. I've been doing my best, truly doing my best to live as authentically as I can. And so I guess what comes up is when you're not seeing that vision, maybe I'm not going deep enough, maybe, which goes back to what else can I do? Right? Like I get where the controller and the hyperachiever and all that plays within myself. I'm just trying to say to go into, well, what is going to give me that bullseye, that target of, oh, I see the map now. Okay, that's the route I'm going to take. Like, for example, I know if we had 3 areas of the map we're going to take, it's going to get us to the destination we're going to get to, but I want to take the scenic route that might take me 45 minutes longer because I want to enjoy the ride. I want to fall in love with this journey, right? That we're on. And we do that all the time in any place we drive. And that's what I'm really trying to do. I'm just not feeling it on what maybe is it what I need, or do I just need to just be? But if I just be, is that more of a wish of what I want in life?
So from my perspective, you actually answered your own question.
Okay.
That discomfort that you feel right now is in the void that happens when you're not doing anything. And I think for somebody that's coming from a belief that unless I am busy and I'm absolute abysmal failure in life, your main sabotaging pattern is always going to be keep you busy. You get concerned about something, get busy. You're worried about something, I need to do more. There's something I don't want to feel, what task can I get done? Which never leaves you the space, never leaves you the presence, never gives you the time to truly tune in, feel what you need to feel, ask what you need to ask, process what you need to process, because you're always going to be on that hamster wheel of busy.
Right. Got it.
So I think in that instance, you actually answered your own question.
Okay. Right. And I get that, it's just there's that battle that happens. And there's some points where I ask myself, well, is that true? And the answer is like, no. Okay, let's go for a run, do something that's going to fulfill you in a different area of your life so that maybe it comes in a different way,
So it might be all of those, but I think that's where it expands beyond the discussion that could be had here, because I think now that's going to touch on many different things, right? Like if I do actually sit in that void, or if I sit in it and I have somebody facilitate or reflect back to me what is happening, that's where you're going to start to uncover the questions to these answers, right? Because even in your GPS example, I want to take the scenic route. Great, that's very nice. But the scenic route is only possible when you have the starting point and the destination mapped out. Then you get to choose, do I want the direct route or do I want the scenic route?
Okay.
What I'm saying is, because you're so busy driving all the time, everything seems like a scenic route. There's never the space to actually determine what is the destination truly, without filter and without distortion.
When I gave you that example earlier around what I described and what I was doing with my clients and this and that, are you saying get even more specific? Like go and say, this is what you're going to charge. This is the exact places, venues you're going to be working at. Because what you came back to me with was that wasn't authentic enough from what you heard. Is that right?
No, the authentic piece, because that I would put under the strategy bit. And I think you're very good at coming up with the strategies to move forward. I don't see anything amiss there. Where I meant the inauthenticity piece was when I asked you, like you mentioned all these strategies, and I was like, okay, great. You know how to do more. You know what more looks like. What is it that you actually want? And then at that point you mentioned, okay, I want to have like a new home with more land. I want to have a studio. I want to be doing private clients. I want to be doing speaking gigs. I'll be doing workshops. I want to be doing, whatever's more engagements on weekends. And I also want some more family time, etc. And I'm like, okay, other than the new home and the family time, everything that you've mentioned, you're already mentioned in the more scenario. And that's kind of why I was like, your vision, like your ideal vision and what you're doing more of right now are the same. So if you're living your ideal vision right now, there shouldn't be a problem. But if you're saying my ideal vision and what I'm doing right now kind of look the same and I have a hard time distinguishing the difference, I'm like, that's a problem.
Yeah. So you're saying accept more of where I'm at and just continue, like more acceptance and being in that energy of self-love, so to speak, and less of you're not good enough.
I mean, that's certainly going to be a part of it. Yes.
Again, I'm aware of that. And I think this emotional tolerance or understanding of oneself, myself, it comes around, and it just gets a little less and a little less and a little less over time. And I get that that's I'm well aware of how to name those things that go on within me, right? A ton of work on that. But I guess what's coming up is I'm expressing that, and you're saying that's not okay. You need to spend less time worrying about those saboteurs and more time focusing on what's right, I guess.
So
is that what I'm kind of hearing?
I didn't interpret myself as saying that.
I'm verbatim.
I think that's interesting, right? Like, I think if that's what you heard, great.
Okay.
I think that's worthwhile exploring then. Why do you think you heard that?
I guess, again, those weren't your words. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's kind of what speaks to me, what I got from you.
Perfect.
Why did I think I heard that? I don't know, but that's not, but you obviously said that's not what's going on, because what I did hear is that's, if you're spending that time, you're putting this thing out into the world right now that you want this, and you're already doing that, then you said that's a problem, right? Because you're constantly.
The problem is in the answer to the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm doing more of. Okay, great. What's your vision? They're exactly the same, but you're not happy. Right? That's what I was pointing to.
Did I say I wasn't happy? I said I wasn't necessarily where I needed to be, where everything was on that tipping point where it was flowing into me abundantly as though I wanted it to be. It was never about happy. I wake up in the morning and I'm pretty happy.
Fair. You mentioned fulfilled. I wasn't fulfilled.
Right. Okay. Right.
Okay. So
there's moments of that. I get done with a retreat. I'm overflowing. I get off with a great client call. I'm overflowing. You get to a point where you're just kind of like looking at the bills sometimes, and you go, well, am I on track to do what I projected to do? And if the answer is no, then you're like, oh, okay, then I'm not there. Let's go inside and figure out how to potentially make some shifts so that we can get there. Right? Is that a problem?
I don't think that's a problem at all. But that's a strategy conversation.
Okay.
Right. Which I think you're very good at and very adept at. So I don't necessarily think that there's any issues there that I see.
Yeah.
I think it really just comes back to like really sitting and seeing what comes up for you in the void while asking yourself the question repeatedly, what is it that I really want?
Okay.
Like if I had to sum it up towards like one main thing, like that's what it would be.
What is it I really want?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. No problem doing that. I'll write it. I'll meditate on it. I'll breathe on it. Yeah. So
okay. That's what I see from the outside looking in. And again, I want to be respectful of your time because I know you said you had a hard stop. So does that like feel complete for you, or it still kind of feels like there's something outstanding?
I think it's always a journey of going inward. I think there's a layer that just gets peeled off and off and off. I don't know if it's in my personality to feel complete. So it's nothing to do with you. It's just a matter of, okay, what am I not seeing? And what is that next opportunity that will open itself up? Or what is that new spark that's going to come? But yeah, I like the fact that, it's the question, it's being very specific. What is that target? What is it that I really yearn to do? You know?
I agree. So yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So in that case, to just kind of close this off, why don't you just let everybody know, who's the best person to find you? What's the best place for them to find you at? Floor is yours for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. You can check out my website, chrisplourde.com, or Instagram is at Coach Chris Plourde. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I know
All right.
sometimes it doesn't feel like
Yeah,
it
no, it's all good
on the receiving end, but I appreciate you for stepping up and doing it. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it. I think that's where we grow, right? So thanks for taking the helm today.
Absolutely. No worries. And for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.